Hey everybody, it's Chugga Conroy. Welcome back to more Pokemon White version. Last time, we made a lot of headway, actually. We left Nimbasa City. I was having to think there for a second how far back we actually were. We left out of Nimbasa City, went through Route 5, had a bit of emotional reunion with Charon, crossed the bridge, went to Driftvale City, had a cool battle, and met up with Clay. Went through Route 6 in the Chargestone Cave, where we got to see lots of cool stuff, including capturing one of the 7 Sages, and went to Mistralton City, where we decided to kind of take a break for a little bit before moving on with our second journey through Unova. Finally got it right. Third time's a charm. I managed to make this sound exciting, what it is we did before, and now we're gonna get started on some, well, not so exciting things. Mistralton City has some of the fewest changes of any of the locales. I would say that there's nothing here, but people would get mad at me calling their waifu that, so we won't do that. We won't pick fights. We're just gonna go through Mistralton Gym and see what there is to see with Skylar. I'm sure a lot of you would argue that there is a lot to see. I will never forget that platform down there that shows that you can walk up into that, even though the grate makes it look like you can't. That is now drilled into my brain for all eternity. I can't help it. Nosebleed 2.0, this time it's personal. Skyla! I almost landed right in your head. Are you and your Pokemon well? Our battle together was so much fun. Now, my Pokemon and I have started training again. I don't usually let people travel on my cargo plane, but battling with you was such a blast that I'd make an exception. Aw, I'll be your cargo any day of the week. That's it! No, seriously, that is all that has changed in Mistralton City. There is one thing that I want to go take a detour to see. I want to go talk to the guy who tells you what hidden power your Pokemon has, because we've never done this for Hex, and with him being a special attacker, or it being a special attacker, gotta be correct there, let's find out. A move's type would be fire? I can have a fire-breathing snowflake. I know the hidden power is pretty low in power, but that sounds fun. I'm gonna try that and see if it works out. Probably get rid of acid armor for that. We'll just kind of see how that works. There is a bit of a novelty to having a fire-breathing snowflake. Now that's everything I want to do. On Route 7, we have one swarm encounter that we are very unlikely to see because I am recording this right after we encountered that Smeargle. Sentret is fairly mediocre, but at least it can evolve right away, no matter what level it's got at. Fully evolved, it is at least pretty fast, and that's unfortunately about it. It is not the worst Pokemon ever. It is good at using moves like Return, and it does get good TMs like U-Turn and Shadow Claw that gives it a bit more type coverage. It's just not outstanding and isn't particularly helped by either of its abilities because they're both pretty bad. I don't mean to make it sound like Ledian because I'm repeating a lot of the things that I said when talking about it, because it's really not that bad. It's just not really spectacular. Twist Mountain! I want to do a little bit of exploration here. It's not winter, so I can't just cheese this whole place. No, not up there. Somewhere around here, there is some place that I want to be. I don't think it's down here, but I know it is one of the catacombs. I do also want to state that I will never forget this hiker now. I do also want to state that there is something that you're able to do on the Celestial Tower. I'm saving that for a little bit later. But just know that there is something there that you are able to do. I haven't forgotten about it. I think it's just a little bit better to save it. In here? No. This could take a while because Twist Mountain is very twisty and turny. Guess what? It's all the way down at the very bottom. Good thing I cut away, otherwise I would have been hemming and hawing about everything for very long and making myself look even dumber than I already do. If you look for something in an empty place like this, you can discover things. Like this fossil I just found. Take this. Good thing that Helix. Good thing you gave me that, otherwise that would have been very taunting if you just gave me like a hard stone or something like that to be like, yeah, I got a fossil, you don't. This guy will give you a fossil once a day at random. This can be any fossil excluding the ones native to the Unova region, so if you picked Arcan, you can't get Tirtuga and vice versa. If you're coming in tomorrow, you might be able to find a fossil of your own, so come on out and play if you want. The fossil is random, but it's not decided on the calendar date. You can save before talking to him and reset over and over again to get the exact fossil that you want. On top of that, every one of these fossils is resurrected at level 25, so I consider that to be in the gray area of maybe you would want to putz with it, maybe you wouldn't. So I'm going to give these guys bios just as if they were Pokemon you wanted to add to your team because I don't know what you feel about them. I liked you before it was cool. I always picked Helix as a kid, but this isn't the Helix you know and love. Since then, Almanite gained access to Shell Smash, and already that makes it an intriguing choice. Between being tanky, having 2 good attacking types, and the option to use Shell Smash to sweep through other teams, this is actually a pretty darn flexible Pokemon despite what the shell would have you thinking. I'd just watch out for its lower special defense and the fact that it's not the fastest user of Shell Smash out there. Next up is the counterpart of Kabuto, another Pokemon that's pretty decent. It's not that complicated. It uses Swords Dance, Stone Edge, Aqua Jet, and Waterfall. It learns a few other good moves, but this is just so solid when it's backed up by alright speed and a pretty good attack stat. Plus, Swift Swim for its ability just makes it even better at doing it. It just kinda works. 2 hits a lot of things, has some okay bulk, and really only needs to watch out for grass types. And the other Kanto fossil is here too. The first thing you think of Aerodactyl is what? Well, for me, it's actually been how it lives with that jaw, but besides that, it's speed all the way. Its type allows it to switch into a lot and then just attack like nuts. Both of its types are great, and it also has access to the Elemental Fangs through Heart Scales. Odds are, you'll be able to make a moveset for this just with Heart Scales and TMs alone, considering how many we have access to now. It's a sweeper blessed with good resistances. Its abilities aren't particularly helpful to it, but hey, sometimes you don't need it, and a useless ability is certainly better than how the other rock-flying fossil Pokemon got it. Moving on to the Hoennites, Lily. I like you. You confuse people with your weird type that no one ever remembers. I've screwed a lot of people over by using you and leaving them guessing what you were weak to again. Mainly, it's there to stall out the enemy by taking hits and healing itself. Its type is not so awesome for this. It resists only normal and electric, but its defenses are so beefy that it manages to not take that much damage anyway. To help with that, it's going to mainly be using Amnesia. It can't get cursed without breeding, and Stockpile is learned at a very high level. Its weaknesses are sadly pretty common too. Oddly, Grass Rock, when you look at it, seems like it would do a lot better on an attacker. Opposite to it is Anorith. We got another slow, bulky Pokemon that doesn't work too well because of its type. It's a harder hitter than its flowery cousin, but it's just very outclassed by so many other rock types. Cranidos Crush! Feel its wrath! This is the epitome of Glass Cannon. Utterly ruthless attack, but very weak in all other ways. It tends to work best as a wall breaker since it's just fast enough to outspeed the really bulky Pokemon and can just utterly blast through them. Its best nuke attack is Head Smash, a 150 power physical rock type move with 1/2 recoil damage. It doesn't learn it until level 58, but it isn't helpless until then since we have good TMs for it already. And last of the fossil Pokemon is Shieldon. There are far better existences than having your face be a shield. In all senses, this is strictly a wall. It packs a ton of great resistances to back up those extremely tight defensive stats, but unfortunately, that's about where the good ends. Bastiodon hits so lightly even for unevolved Pokemon standards, and it winds up only really being able to stall out the enemy. It's also a shame that it has the very specific weaknesses that it does, since it winds up not being able to do much a lot of the time because the exact moves that wreck it are so common. I think there's been better tanks than this, and there will be better tanks than it coming up. That means with one NPC worth seeing in each area, Mistralton City and Twist Mountain are officially tied for importance in the postgame. Wouldn't it be embarrassing if Mistralton City lost that by this area just having one more thing? Oh look, the Ice Rock! This room is where you need to level up Eevee to have it evolve into the Pokemon Glaceon. Because you're not able to obtain an Eevee or a Glaceon natively within Unova, it's not getting a bio, but that's where you do that. That is everything new in Twist Mountain. Icirrus City and its cheery little music. That's not all it has going for it. You can actually encounter wild Pokemon in Icirrus City. And because we have the fishing rod, that means we can meet some new friends. I say it every time. Everyone loves the water ground type. It's wondrous. Barboach is common around these parts. It can have access to all of its moves at only level 47, including Earthquake through level up. Its evolved form Whiscash is rarer, only found in rippling water. It will always be level 60 and have access to all of its moves. It's a jack of all trades, master of none. It can take hits decently, does okay amounts of damage, has a good type, has good moves, but no abilities to write home about. But on the flip side, not horribly bad or anything. Just doesn't really light the world on fire, even though both of its types beat fire, so who would expect it to do that? This is probably the thing that people have asked me about the most. I was not aware that you could do this until you all told me about it, so thank you for making this video about 10 times better than it would be without this. Because this is truly the most important feature in any Pokemon game. Walking through rocks. Incredible! These two rocks do not have collision data. This one does. That one does. This other one. Oh, no! No, I caught you loafing on 3 there. I thought there were only 2. So, with there being a gym leader for us to talk to, and there being those rocks to see, that means that 2 areas in a row Mistralton City has lost in importance because of a rock. Cool. Alright, Bryson. In the past, when I was hurt and depressed, Alder shared this with me. There is strength in being with other people in Pokemon. Receiving their support makes you stronger. The young man named Charon also seems to understand this now. Hell, Bryson, if only you had a greater role in things. It is kind of nice that he kind of has his importance come into play after you fight him. I don't know, I wish he had a little bit more to him. Perhaps maybe a later day we will get to see what Bryson is capable of. I guess for the very last thing to see, we can head on up to Dragonspiral Tower. While we climb up to the other thing that I want to see, oh boy, let me tell you about the wild Pokemon here! Here we are. Possibly one of the easiest ways to obtain Dratini in the wild ever. It's not rare in the slightest, and can potentially be caught with a high enough level to fully evolve after just 2 level ups. If you saved your rare candies, congratulations. Anyway, we've had access to plenty of good dragon types for a long time now, and the Dratini family joins the ranks of the great ones. Its family has no shortage of great moves. Thunder Wave, Agility, Dragon Dance, Outrage, the Elemental Punches, pretty much every good TM, whether it's physical or special. And I guess technically Hurricane if you're bonkers enough to raise this thing all the way up to level 81. It can fulfill basically any role and do whatever you want whenever you want, unlike the other dragons that have a lot more rigid roles. On rare occasions, its evolved form Dragonair can be encountered. It's the same level as Dratini, and there's not any real reason to catch it as a Dragonair if you have trouble finding it. However, on a 1% chance, while fishing on rippling water only, this is the rare chance to encounter a wild Dragonite. It will immediately be ready to fight for you if you can find it. Do I recommend trying for this? Hell no! Just level up your Dratini within the amount of time that it would take to find a 1% encounter. On the note of Dragonite specifically, it gained a hidden ability of multiscale in this game, making it one of only 2 Pokemon to ever have this ability, the other being Lugia. This made Dragonite even more popular than it already was when it got this, but in your case, it's another really cool ability you can't have, so don't factor it into your decision to use it. Up top, I've stated before that you cannot fail the battle against Reshiram or Zekrom in En's Castle. Whichever version you have, that is the dragon that you are catching there. Unless you have a full PC box, in which case they can't give it to you if your party and PC box are both full. Should that happen, that dragon will be waiting for you in this room, where you had your fateful encounter with N, and you can try to catch them then. Should you fail that, rematching the Elite Four is how you get any legendary Pokemon to respawn as many times as you wish. They put a lot of failsafes in place to make sure that you'd be capable of using them for story purposes, but that is the way that things are. This is a very remote piece of information and just generally a very remote fight that I can't imagine too many people have ever played. That's how it is. Suddenly winter! Why? Because I felt like it, okay? I've had plenty of good reasons for changing the clock over our many months on this journey, but I just kind of felt like seeing this place in winter because I complimented it a lot last time, and seeing the snow just hover up is a neat effect, even if it probably wasn't intentional. Back in town, we got one more thing around Icirrus that I want to go do. We have a trade that we need to take care of. Your headset looks like it has the Mexican flag on it. I want to know what horrified that lady off to the right. I am here once again, as always, to offer up a completely fair and honest trade that is, the complete intended purpose of Pokemon trades. Just so you know. I happen to have an event Keldeo. What is Keldeo, you might ask? Well, it's yet another one of those event Pokemon that they never made a boss fight for because events suck. I feel like I kind of go through this whole song and dance every time, so I'm just going to leave it at that and not rant about it for a minute and a half. Okay, donkey. Next off, we go to the PC and withdraw our Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion. At least that's how I pronounced them for years. And believe it or not, a certain place that I have called worthless on multiple occasions within the same span of 5 minutes is not quite as worthless as you might think at first glance. Oh no, I made a bad call doing this in winter, didn't I? Don't have surf. Please tell me I can actually get there without surf. I know that these puddles of water are fickle mistresses when you're not playing in the right season, so... Well, no, I've walked out of this place. I probably have. Fine! Man, you compliment the more of Icirrus by saying it's not as worthless as it might seem at first glance. You give it that inch, and it takes the mile of wanting you to start carrying HM moves just for it. You made me go to the PC and go get an HM user so that I could access you. I have abandoned friends over less than that, more of Icirrus. Don't toy with me. Keldeo seems to want to get out of the Pokeball. Will you let it out? Keldeo came jumping out! Ooh, that Pokemon. It couldn't be. A bright red mane, and a lush tail, and a single noble horn. It's exactly like the old legend. For Keldeo and the 3 legendary Pokemon of the Unova region, Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion, this forest has a special meaning. It seems like it would be best if you knew this story as well. Would you mind listening to an old man's story for a moment? Long ago, when a war between people started an intense fire in this forest, a single young Pokemon was separated from its parents. Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion teamed up to take care of this Pokemon. The 3 acted as its parents and taught it the knowledge and the moves it needed to survive. The young Pokemon grew rapidly and developed a power that surpassed its 3 caretakers. However, one day that Pokemon disappeared from the forest. No one knows why, but when I think about it, young ones are always reckless and drawn to adventure. It looks like they are all happy to see one another again. wonder if those three are trying to teach Keldeo something. Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion are trying to teach Keldeo the new move Secret Sword. Teach Secret Sword to Keldeo. Out of the moves that it comes with, I'm very glad that they gave you a clear answer to the one that you probably should get rid of. If it weren't for you, these Pokémon never would have been able to meet again here in this forest that holds so many memories for them. I'm sure they are very happy that they were able to meet a trainer like you. Flashy! You guys know how to make an exit. A verdant forest in clear water. For Pokémon, this forest is like a paradise. It's also very important for people, so I want to take good care of it. Let's talk about the more of Icirrus a little bit. This is additional lore for it, gives it reason to exist. Doesn't mean that I like the area. I kind of don't like that it needs an event to be interesting and it doesn't contain any new Pokemon and it's literally just more of Icirrus, as I have made the joke before. I'm saying that I've done a lot of things before. I'm getting repetitious. I need to stop that. New information, desperately need new information. These Pokemon, they are known as the Swords of Justice. Trust me, this is new information. Or alternatively, the Musketeer Quartet, not really so much trio. They are based on the three Musketeers, and Keldeo is based on the fourth Musketeer that joins at the end of the story. I hope I was not spoiling such an old story for you, but yeah, it's kind of a literary classic at this point. SMR 2012. I know that this is from a more modern event than Black and White, yet worked on this game, so I'm kind of okay with that, having an extra one. Quite a few events work that way, but either way. I also want to talk about Keldeo a little bit. I'm just gonna put this as bluntly as I can. What is the obsession with Keldeo's butt? I'm not making things up here. I am not drawing parallels that aren't there. Look at its official artwork. Look at more of its official artwork. Heck, it even shoots water out of its ass in the dang anime. Okay, I know it's a hind kick, but it looks like it's shooting water out of its butt, okay? At least that's what I thought. And I know that I'm not alone on this thought, because not only is it such a recurring pattern in so many official works, and I know that you could say that it's that Keldeo is doing hind kicks because it's kind of like a donkey and all that, and they tend to do hind kicks, but you can't tell me that you didn't look at that extra line of detail that they didn't need to draw on its leg and tell me that you didn't immediately think that was a butthole. I know that that's been the case among any friends that I've brought this up to, because I've talked with many people about this over the years because of just how much it bothers me, and I'll just be like, you know, is it me or does Keldeo's official artwork have a butt? And that's as far as I get before they're like, oh my god, you understand me! It's such a weird, consistent choice in any sort of official artwork depicting Keldeo. I know that there's official artwork where he's not like that, but it happens a lot more often than it doesn't. Let's move on and actually talk about how Keldeo is as a Pokemon. With good speed and great special attack combined with two good attacking types, Keldeo is one of the best special attackers you will find. There's a choice between Surf and Hydro Pump that you'll probably have to make, in that both are great water moves for it, but both have different advantages and disadvantages, where Hydro Pump has just enough accuracy to justify that higher power. For fighting type moves, here's where it gets fun. Keldeo is the only Pokemon ever that learns Secret Sword. This is an 85 power special fighting type move that calculates damage based on the opponent's physical defense. It works a lot like the move Psyshock does. With this by its side, there's almost nothing that its huge special attack can't do. It's an adorable little sweeper with these tools at its disposal and calm mind. What more could you want? Well, okay, it is a little bit disappointing that it's a water-type special attacker that doesn't learn a single ice move. You'll have to rely on hidden power if you want anything remotely strong for ice type, but look at that face. And not the butt. Also, it was kind of a cute thing. With Keldeo being the youngest of the Swords of Justice, it takes longer to learn Sacred Sword than the others by leveling up. It's a cute little detail that I kind of enjoy. One last thing about Keldeo is that it is yet another Pokemon that is shiny locked. It cannot possibly be, but if it could be, this is what it would look like. Alright, now that we have cleansed ourselves of that, and are never going to talk about that ever again, that is everything in the Icirrus area. Next time on Pokemon Black and White, we move on to Route 9. You thought I was going to say Opaloosa City. Nope, we actually got a long ways to go. Contrary to what you would think by Route 9 being 5 feet long. See you guys then.